Okay guys, I am back working on the playhouse I'm building today, and I need to install some gable vents in this playhouse. It's big. It's the same principle as building a shed, so I need some airflow up there. So I'm going to put one on each side across from each other. I cut a hole in my LP SmartSiding that I bought at Home Depot, but I think Lowe's has it too. So I follow the directions on the Royal Gable Vent that I bought at Lowe's for cutting the hole. So I cut the hole, made sure everything was nice and level, and used my circular saw to do that. So this is the vent that I am going to be installing. As I said, it's Royal Gable Vent so it's made by Royal. It's a gable vent, and I bought it at Lowe's. It is vinyl, and it works sort of like a sandwich. So this would be the inside of the playhouse side of the gable vent, and this is going to be on the outside. So I just have to make sure that I build my frame thick enough to fit this box. So I'm going to put a 1x4 pressure treated frame around the outside of the playhouse. Right now I'm going to use construction adhesive and my brad nailer just to hold it in place while the adhesive sets to construct a frame. So I'll do that real quick and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so I've applied the construction adhesive to the 4 boards I'm going to use to build the frame on the outside of this hole here, the opening for the gable vent. So I'm just going to put those up. Okay, so I have used the construction adhesive to attach these boards, the frame for the gable vent, to the outside of my playhouse, and I just tapped them in place with my brad nailer. Those aren't structural, but they will hold the boards tightly to the siding while the adhesive sets. So that's the only reason why I used my brad nailer. Okay, after framing that gable vent out with the 1x4 pressure treated lumber, I caulked all of the seams, all of the nail holes, and I caulked it. After letting that set, I then have primed it. I'm just using primer on the top here. Kills, 2 or 3 coats of Kills for the white section of this shed. So I've got that painted on the front so that I can at least install the gable. So let me show you the back side. On the back side, I installed the gable with 1-inch self-tapping screws. So the instructions say to use nails, but they don't say how many or how to space them apart. I went with screws just because I wanted to have the screw pull the board, that 1x4 trim on the front, tighter to this gable so that the gable fits nicely. So the 3/4 inch thick 1x4 and the 1/2 inch thick siding are actually the perfect depth, so I didn't want it to be sticking out any, if that makes any sense. So I wanted it to be pulled tight, and screws are just easier to install. And also I didn't want to be banging on the inside of this wall with a hammer and having the nails that hold the siding on pushed out, if that makes any sense. So it just seemed like a weird thing to do. So I thought, I'm going for screws. This is my shed. I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, so I have popped this gable vent into place, and if you can see in a few spots there's still just like a bit of a gap around the edges. So I'm gonna seal that with a good exterior grade caulk. So I'm gonna seal that with this Dynaflex 230 by DAP. It's paintable, it's waterproof, and it claims to be great at flexibility. So when you have expansions in summer and winter, it should be better. So I'm going to put a bead all around the outside edges, and then I use an old rag soaked in water, so I squeeze out quite a bit of it and then wipe down the edges to get the excess caulk off, so that all that's left behind is what I need to seal it, not all of the extra that comes out of the gun. So now I've applied a bead of caulk along the outside edge of this gable vent here. And for this kind of a job. I just use my finger to press it into the joint and wipe away the excess at the same time. Then I use a damp rag to wipe away all of the excess caulk that got pushed to the edges. So I'm not pressing into the joint here, I'm just cleaning up the excess caulk with a damp rag. And that's pretty much it, guys. Your job is done. You could always touch up the edges again with that paint if you want to cover that, seal that caulk up with the paint. Might not be a bad idea. But that's the end of the tutorial. Thanks for checking this out.